Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
Although not really here because it's the world as we know it now. So we're all calling in Zoom style.
Yes, we are.
The big social distance.
That's right. That's right. We have a lot to talk about.
The big social distance. You make it sound like it's a constellation up in the
Up there in the northern sky is the big social distance. They named it that when those stars appeared back in 2020.
You can only see
I figured
Fahrenheit.
Right. I figured since I'm in Beijing, it's quite the social distance.
Yes, it is.
You were doing it correct, my friend.
But we have a ton of soccer stuff to talk about because of that. Ooh. We're going to do things a little different, and we're going to start with Ron's beer news first, and get into some of our beer, and then we'll go into the soccer. But I do want to give props to Ferris's title of this episode. Since we've been gone.
Yes, I was hoping somebody would break into song. I love it. Thank you, Blake.
You're welcome. It's been in my head since I read the title.
I was hoping somebody would sing it. That's all I thought about as well.
Well, it's in this world.
Who sang that?
Oh, gosh.
Tay-Tay? No, it wasn't Tay-Tay, was it?
I don't know. If only I had a device next to me that could tell me.
I'm trying not to use the interwebs to tell me.
Oh, I'm just cheating straight off the bat.
I think it was
Kelly
Tay-Tay.
Clarkson, right?
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
That's right.
Samsonite.
Kelly Clarkson.
That was way off.
I was way off.
Yeah,
jeez.
Well, it's also because, yes, we've been gone a couple weeks, but also in this crazy condensed time, so much soccer is happening. We've already started the 2021 season. We just ended the 1920 one. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
Yeah.
There are teams in France's Ligue 1 who are now playing their second game as we speak.
That's so
to start
wild.
Their season. Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy.
We literally had an FA Cup final and then just had a Community Shield final. Like,
yeah,
right.
Back.
But France canceled the remainder of their season, so they've been off for a long time.
That's true. Yeah. They had a gap. So, yeah, we'll see. So because of that, that's why we're going to do the beer news first. So Ron, you got your beer news?
So some beer news. I kept it light because I knew that that we were going to have a lot of soccer to talk about. So, in the world of environmental awareness, I picked a cool story. You guys know Brewdog Brewing? They're from Ellen, Scotland, in the UK. But they have breweries all over the place. They have one in the US, I want to say it's in Ohio.
They got known really well for doing a ton of collaborations with US breweries and stuff. That's how their name got here.
So these guys have put together a $39 million sustainability plan that will allow them to reach a carbon negative status within a year.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Huh. So check this out. They're going to spend $39 million, which means they're doing okay. And they've purchased 2,050 acres of grazing land in the Highlands of Scotland, and they're going to plant over 1 million trees, right? That will help them offset what carbon footprint they have because trees scrub carbon out of the atmosphere. For all you science nerds at home, that's also how photosynthesis works. Look it up. They're also, all of the electricity for their breweries comes from wind turbines and solar panels. All of the spent grains from their breweries are being converted into biomethane gas so that they can replace fossil fuels like natural gas as the way they heat their mash tuns and their kettles. Also, the CO2 that comes out of the fermenter during the fermentation process is captured, and it's used to carbonate beer in in cans and kegs. Then they're getting, look this up, this is a fun one at home, an anaerobic digester. An anaerobic digester. Yeah.
That's the move I did with Pilates the other day.
That's that yoga pose
that's
that
what
no
my-
one can seem to achieve.
That's why my sciatic hurts so bad.
That turns brewery wastewater into regular water and biomethane. So all of their breweries are doing these measures in some fashion or form so that all of their breweries around the world can have a negative carbon footprint.
That's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the first brewery to ever undertake so much to become, environmentally conscious.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A $39 million plan. I mean, BrewDog is everywhere. I've seen their beers in obviously the US, but I've seen them in Norway, obviously Scotland. I've seen them in Japan, Taiwan, China. Where else? That's all I can think of at the moment. But they're a huge brewery. So to see them kind of, becoming environmentally responsible, hopefully that will lead other breweries to see that it's not as difficult and also try and do something similar.
And it's going to increase their sales because people will hear about them more. It's smart.
Yeah. Especially in this day of, everyone trying to be, most people trying to be much more environmentally aware.
Let the breweries lead the way.
Wouldn't that be so cool? Breweries lead the charge for
awesome.
Businesses worldwide. Another fun piece of beer news. You guys remember New Belgium out of Fort Collins, Colorado?
Yup.
Of course.
One of our favorite breweries. They account for 5 of the top 30 craft beer brands in the world, according to a recent poll by this company IRI, which is a market research firm for beverages. That's all they do is market research. So they put out the top 30 craft beer brands, and New Belgium had 5 of them, which is awesome. Their top 5 were Fat Tire, Voodoo Ranger IPA, which is still one of the best IPAs I've had in a long time. Voodoo Ranger 1985, which I don't think I've had.
I haven't, but I know I have it out by me at the Publix. I think, Blake, you do as well, I think. But I stop in there and you got it too.
So give that a whirl. I haven't had that one. Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA, I've had that. Voodoo Ranger Liquid Paradise IPA. So those are your 5, which, I remember when the first Voodoo Ranger IPA came out and how good it was. Blake, you and I were at your cousin's wedding.
Oh yeah, we got the Fat Tire for the first time, or the Ranger?
We got Voodoo Ranger
That's
for the first time, and drank the hell out of it that weekend. So another interesting thing about this is these 5 beers have sold $127 million of the company's $171 million in sales year to date as of August 9th.
Now,
that's pretty good return on those 5 beers.
I will say something interesting. You do know they no longer own themselves.
So, yeah, that's where I was headed next.
Yeah, because that was the big thing, because they were for the longest time employee owned, and it was a really cool situation out in Denver.
Right.
No mas.
But they are currently owned by Kirin Mitsubishi. So that means they have a lot more marketing and a lot more markets in which to sell, as opposed to what they had, which was still pretty substantial when they were employee owned, because we would get them all up and down the East Coast. So now they have a much bigger market. But still, I think even though they're owned by Kirin Mitsubishi, those are, with the exception of the 1985, which I haven't had, the rest of them are all phenomenal beers.
And they have really good barbecue sauces, because they just started making barbecue sauces There's
That's
dark
right.
ale. They're 1880 or 1550, 85, whatever. There's that one, and then there's the Voodoo Ranger one, which is super spicy and it's delicious. They've got three really good barbecue sauces.
So the top two spots are in that top 30 craft beer brands. The top two are from Molson Coors. One is Blue Moon Belgian White,
right?
And the other, yeah. Although it surprises me a little bit because the Belgian White and the Hefeweizen from Blue Moon was the most popular beer for Molson Coors for a long time. So to see that the Belgian White has surpassed it is a little bit of a surprise.
I thought the Blue Moon is the Belgian Wit.
Nope, they have two different ones.
They do.
Blue Moon has a Hefeweizen, and that was the first one that came out. Then the Belgian White came out, or Wit came out, and they have another one coming out here shortly. But the second one is Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy.
Yeah, you see that. You see that a lot of places.
I won't lie. When summertime hit and Publix had them for buy one, get one on a 6-pack, I definitely did buy two, threw them in the fridge for pool time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a great poolside beer or grilling out beer during the summer.
Yeah, it's exactly what I used it for. Yep.
Yeah. And a couple of other notables that we would care about in that list, Elysian Brewing's Space Dust IPA.
Ron and I have been to a brew hub of theirs out in Seattle. Yeah. Believe it or not, Space Dust IPA is the fourth best-selling craft IPA on the market.
Holy crap.
I believe it.
And I do too. It's delicious.
And you usually see it almost everywhere. Craft beer sold.
But also because it's owned by AB InBev.
Yep, they pumped it out everywhere.
And then another one that made the top 30, which I was a little surprised about, was Highlight IPA from Cigar City.
Oh, they pump that thing out everywhere, and it's pretty much anywhere on the South Coast, and it's actually starting to get more up north too, and that's just a very good IPA that goes right up there with all of those.
Once they partnered with Brew Hub and started doing national distribution, they've exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why all their cans got redesigned to appeal
beyond
the local
market.
Yeah, to be a bit wider in marketing. So then the last piece, there's a ton of beer news going on right now. AB InBev is getting sued in Miami. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on.
Is that $5 million crap?
Yes. The very long story short is that AB InBev bought a brewery, rebranded it as a Latino run and Latino roots brewery. And the marketing campaign, the social media, the website for the brewery, everything says that it's a locally owned craft brewery producing its own beer.
No.
And it's not. It's owned by AB InBev. And it's not even in Miami. It's not owned by anyone in Miami. All the beer is shipped in from Colorado, something like that. And so the local residents are suing.
Let me tell you something.
Bait and switch.
to use some Spanish parlance, that is some cojones to sit there and just blatantly 100% lie about your product and then not think in this day and age someone wouldn't be like, hold the phone, Charlie, or hold the phone, Francois, since it's a Belgian company now. What's going on here?
That doesn't quite make sense.
That's ridiculous.
But the question is, how long have they been getting away with it?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not the first time they've done it. This is the first time they've been caught by.
Right.
Yeah, no.
And we talked about this on the last time we talked about AB InBev being sued, which I feel like was the last time we had beer news.
Yeah, that's why I thought that's what you were talking about.
Was that,
That's what I thought you were talking about too.
It's a $5 million lawsuit, which they made up in 6 minutes.
So, yeah, already since you first started talking about it, they've tripled that. They're good.
Yeah. So, yeah, none of this really hurts AB InBev, you know. So I guess the last thing in these times where there's a lot of racial injustice and racial inequality, I know we talked about this on the last one, but I think it's a really important issue, and I think the beer community is banding together to do what they can to erase all of this, or I shouldn't say erase, I should say reform and fix and move forward in a more racially conscious effort. Weathered Soul Brewing Company in San Antonio, Texas, started the Black is Beautiful initiative, which is a collaborative effort to raise awareness for injustices for people of color that they daily face, and it's to raise funds for legal defenses for those who've been wronged by police and police brutality. So the initiative urges brewers to develop their own version of the Black is Beautiful, which is a 10% ABV imperial stout. And each brewery is encouraged to put their own twist on it, and essentially, make it their own with a few stipulations. One, the beer must maintain the style and ABV of the original, so it still has to be an imperial stout hovering around the 10% ABV. The ingredients should showcase the many different shades of black and brown within humanity. So maybe the beer's not black, maybe it's a little more brown, whatever you kind of want to do with it. But 100% of the proceeds from the sale of the beer must be donated to local foundations which support racial equality and reform. So brewers can go to blackisbeautiful.beer and download the recipe, the labels, and any other materials, all for free, and produce the beer. There is currently 1,140 breweries in 50 states and 21 countries that are participating. And some of the ones, if you're in Florida and you listen to us, there's a huge amount of them in Florida. Big Top Brewing in Sarasota, Boagens in Castleberry, Cigar City in Tampa, Broken Strings in Orlando, Dead Lizard Orlando, Funky Bruta in Oakland Park, Hourglass in Longwood, Sideward Brewing in Orlando, Tactical Brewing in Orlando. Plenty of breweries. Just go on to blackisbeautiful.beer and you can look up participating breweries. So I think everybody should support this and help the brewing industry with their efforts.
Well, Ferris did.
Here. Absolutely.
Because that's what he and I are going to have to drink today.
Oh, yeah, we actually got it from a brewery you did not happen to say, but there's so many of them. We got it from some of our friends over at Ivanhoe Park. Ron and I, when the brewery first opened, got a chance to take part in their media night. And I was able to pick up a 4-pack of it a few weeks back.
Sweet.
And I have
let's crack that thing open and see what it's like.
Get into it for this show.
Yeah.
I like the label that Ivanhoe Park put together. I wonder if they got that. Was that something that was on that site as well?
It is, yeah. As I'm looking at the site, it's pretty much, I remember when I bought it, they said it is pretty much as true as it can be to the recipe that was put out, and even the label is done in the very similar vein. So this is probably, they didn't alter it a whole lot from what the original concept and recipe was.
I wish I could buy some.
Ivanhoe Park, what a great place.
One of my favorite
brewery. Really nice people, a great atmosphere. Really, really well done. I like that place.
Well, this beer looks good, smells good.
And it's a imperial stout, 10% on this lovely Slightly rainy Sunday morning here at 9:52 a.m. in Orlando, Florida.
You sounded like the radio guy. It's 52
degrees here. All right, gents. Should we try this bad boy?
Go for it.
Absolutely. Sponsor.
Oh my gosh, it smells good.
Mm-hmm.
Super coffee notes. Oh man, wow. Ron, you would love this, dude.
That is smooth drinking imperial stout.
Man, that it's 10% is shocking.
You don't taste it. Yeah, so I was just about to say the same thing.
I'm so jealous.
And that is tasty.
It's a very dark brown. Man, it's so good. I was having coffee too, which does pair perfectly with. It's delicious. Like it's got those great notes of the roast, the coffee-ish, the sort of chocolate that you expect from an imperial stout, but it is so smooth.
Yeah.
Man,
it is tasty.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's going to go down good. That is great. Oh, man. Well, sorry, Ron.
Oh, it's all right.
You cannot participate in this one.
I have the beer that I'm drinking is a tribute to Bayern Munich for winning the Champions League, which I know we'll talk about.
The best song in the world. This is a tribute. Every time.
It is the St. Carlos Schwartz beer.
Schwartz.
May the Schwartz be with you.
4.8 ABV.
You're welcome, Ferris. Oh, look at that bad boy.
Ooh, yeah. that is similar darkness, but not nowhere near the ABV that we are having here at and you're having a 4 point something at 9:54 p.m. We're having a 10 something at 9:54 a.m.
You guys are just setting your day off right.
This is true. That is a good distinction to have been made. Yeah, you best believe, Ron, that I wore my Bayern Munich jersey to work the day after so Ferris could see it.
Oh, and I knew it too. He walked in and I went, that son of a that son of, even with the mask on, I know who that is.
I was like, oh, I know what I'm wearing.
It'd be rude if you didn't.
Well, how's your beer?
So it's pretty great. It's pretty typical of the style.
Schwartz beer ends up being, it's like a lager, except that it's roasted, right? With its barley, so it comes out that dark, smoky flavor.
Yep. And it's a little more malt balanced. There's not, in typical Schwartz beers, there's very faint hops because it's more, like I said, more malt balanced. So the malt and roasted flavor is pretty great. I'm digging it.
I think we did good on the beer today because we're all very quiet about it and just drinking it.
It is
so good. And I haven't. This is my first real beer in 2 weeks and change.
Really?
So yeah. I had a bit of
you were sick. That's why we didn't do the last.
That's right.
That's why we're delayed by a week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, gentlemen, I could not stop running to the bathroom.
That is not fun.
When Ron says, "Can we do a pod when it's the day before?" and Ron's like, "Can we not do it?" And I don't mean like the sleep before. Like it's like a full day before.
Yeah, it was. Like,
I've got a stomach bug. I was like, "Oh, I know, Ron. That means it's bad." And he knows even if he is healed by then, he just wants to sleep.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to have to run to the bathroom that many times. And it was just sad. I was playing FIFA with a friend and it was just a rapid decline. And it's one of those things like, you know, what movie is it? It's Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yes,
when you can hear the guy's stomach like rolling around, and that's exactly what I felt like. You start sweating, and you start, oh my god, what's going to happen? And then you run in and you give all the sputter you can give. And then you got
to. Yep.
I was not expecting to hear the word sputter this morning.
But you did.
Yep. So, yeah, this is my first real beer in 2 weeks.
I like how slowly
it's a tasty one.
He's drinking it.
Yeah. Just being careful.
Oh, man. God, that beer is great, Ferris.
Yeah, it is. It is going down real smooth. And I'm drinking it from my Guinness Dublin Ireland glass that says my name on the back, courtesy of my sister when she went several years back.
So you got your name on it?
For it.
That's pretty cool.
It says Michael Ferris.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got our tasting glass from the Orlando beer craft beer
festival.
Oh
yeah.
That we went to that hasn't obviously not happened this year.
And this is true.
Oh, I found out remember the 8x8 beer festival that I went to last year? It's happening October 16th. I'll be there.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Can't wait. The problem though is that it's not going to be 8x8, right? Because of COVID. So they're still calling it the 8x8 beer festival, but it's just going to be 16 Chinese craft breweries.
Yeah, that works. That's stuff you can't get back home. So
I'll take it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they had some pretty tasty beers. I hope stuff clears up in the U.S. so that you guys can get over here, because
that was part of the plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, the craft breweries, man. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, and I think we'll be shocked to know. You going to Beijing? What for? Craft beer tours.
Yep. Super good. So shall we get on with the soccer?
Man, yeah. I could just sit back and sip this bad boy for all day long. This is delicious. Yeah, we've had a lot going on. We are going to end up talking about MLS,
all sorts of stuff.
UEFA Champions League, Europa League. Man, we got, a whole
headlines from around the world this week.
We got a whole Messi news going around here.
Oh, how many times are we going to say that? Good Lord.
It is quite the mess.
Yep. It's not as bad as Harry Maguire's mess, though, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll refrain my comments until we get there.
I will as well. But there's some interesting headlines that have happened this week. Not to mention a U.S. men's national team player that had a big move just go through yesterday. So we got a whole slew to talk about here, gents.
All right. Well, let's sputter along, but not the way that Ron did.
Yes. No. Please not.
So we had an MLS back tournament wrap up, which saw Orlando City go all the way to the finals against Portland Timbers. Orlando had a really good run. They were not that great in the final, though. They lacked a little bit of spark that was in the prior games. But as a fan who's been sitting through some crappy seasons, I'll take it.
100%.
Oh, yeah. And third worst in the league to
first in the East right now.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess the difference is we finish games. We are much more organized. We have a defense. We have midfield play.
Goaltending.
And we have people who shoot the ball.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And we have a head coach.
I say we have a good manager, and I still think that is going to be the key to MLS improving overall are the world-class managers, more than now at this point signing older stars from overseas.
Yeah. And why Oscar Pereira isn't new to the league, he knows the league, but he brings a different style and different mindset, something completely different than we haven't had. And it's not difficult football. And something that I pointed out, I can't remember if I pointed out to you guys or to another buddy of mine, but when I say it's not very difficult football, it's something that you're taught at a young age. In the semifinals and quarterfinals, and even in the finals, some of Orlando City's new play is, and they move the ball about quick, right? But they do it in triangles.
Yeah.
They do it in a way that keeps it tight. Now, it keeps it tight, it keeps it organized, and it keeps the players not having to think too much about what they're doing. It's more instinctive by doing it that way.
And that's something that I really noticed. And that's how they move the ball out from the back. Now, what that does, that eventually breaks down a team. I think you saw, was it in the semifinals where
it spreads them out.
It spreads them out. But that allows for then, it's like in football, American football. You run the ball, so everybody kind of packs in, and then you just throw the long ball. Well, in the semifinals, Johansson, the center back, played a lovely long ball over the top to Nani for what was either the first or the second goal of ours. And it was spot on and it was beautiful. But I don't think that could have happened unless the team had pushed up a bit. The opposing team had pushed up a bit because we were so organized and controlling of the game. And that's something that he has really brought. And Ron, you said it, they are so much more organized, and it's very simple stuff. And I think in the finals, it was something to where Portland's been there before. Portland's been in the playoffs. Portland's been in the finals. They have experience there. They can kind of weather an early storm, or they can kind of see the game through. They can make sure they know where to strike at the moments. They know that they can capitalize on set pieces. They have that experience where Orlando City they have not been there. They've not been there at all. And with a lot of the players on the team, they haven't experienced this whatsoever. And not that they had a bad game, they weren't 100% turned on for the entire game. And that's where Portland just edged past.
Yeah, it was also a really, I feel like Orlando got lured into playing Portland's game because it got really chippy early on. There was a lot of retaliatory stuff going on.
That you just hit the nail on the head, dude. They did not play the game they had been playing in the previous matches.
Yep.
That is exactly right. They got completely.
But that's where the experience comes in. If they've been there before, they know not to alter the ship and go a different route than what they have been doing.
Yeah. But look, to be honest, like we said a few minutes ago, we were third to last in the league, and now we're winning more than we're losing.
We just beat Atlanta 3-1 yesterday, so it's a new
which
era.
was sweet.
Yeah,
we beat Nashville earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And we're still first in the East. We did 3-2. Yeah,
that was a weird oh no, coming out of that final, and please don't tell me we've lost everything that we had in that tournament going into the year. That was a little scary. But from the Nashville and the Atlanta game, I think that's not the case.
Yeah, I think Orlando's in a really good spot. And the other thing that I think what's so great about Pereira is that for the most part, all those players were there.
Yeah, that I was going to say that. It's not like he's got a different team. It's some of the same people. A lot of the same people.
Yeah. There are a few changes that have made it better. There's one change in the back line, Roberto Carlos, who is a really good partner with Johansson, Gillespie in goal, and there are people that are getting runs full time now, opposed to coming off the bench. People like Yuri Rosell, Chris Mueller, where they were spotty in the team, they're now getting a consistent run in the team. And that has really helped to form, we could sit there and probably name what our starting team is now based on, because we couldn't do that before because you're well, I don't know who the hell is going to start up front. I don't know who's going to do this. I don't know who's going to do that.
It's like we were coached
changed so much.
We were coached by Jurgen Klinsmann or something for the last decade is what it feels like.
Yeah, right. I just want to try out this player. I just want to try this.
How about this one?
Oh, Landon Donovan, you're not allowed.
We were without Dom Dwyer, but
boo-hoo, in my opinion.
It didn't seem to matter.
But is that? Are we really missing him?
I would have loved him to be able to be subbed in on that last game. Yes. Actually, but that's because we were.
Because that's the type of game where he gets subbed in and gets sent off 10 minutes after the fact.
Yeah, he does.
Because he's hot headed and ends up
what I call a bit of. He got to rein in
punching Blanco or somebody like.
He's got to rein in that Jacques-ness. You know, he got to rein in that Jacques-ness.
I'm not even Jacques-ness. I'm like Mario Balotelli sometimes. Like that's like I like him as a. Sorry, Ron. I like him as a striker, and when he's not doing all those other antics of the game, he can be very good, and he can really score and put balls in the back of the net. But man, he has not been on a good run of form, and he likes to do everything else but score goals.
Yeah, I'm really curious how he will fit into this new style of play, which has a lot of wing play. There's a lot of crosses coming in, and Dom Dwyer is not a big dude. And
no, but I could see him.
He's not
being a fresh leg sub, like Ferris said, though.
Yeah,
at the end, that's what I could see in this.
We have two strikers at the club that will get in over him, and they have been in Akindelli and DK. They're both big center forward types. Now, do they consistently put the ball in the back of the net as much as we'd like? No, but to have an elite striker in MLS is hard to come by. So could we be in for that, or for someone that can consistently do that? Yeah, but right now both of those are very serviceable in what it is that they do. Akindelli, I think, is still either injured or has had some testing done on the COVID side. I don't know for sure, but he has not been on the bench the past few games. And DK has been great. He scored 2 goals the other night, and he's also come off the bench a lot in this tournament. And that's just not something, Ron, like you said, that Dom's going to fit in this, because right. Dom is not what I would consider a center forward. He is more of a striker. He's not going to hold the ball up. He's not going to be the big man that helps to pull defenders. He's going to run off the ball. He's going to get in behind the back line. And right now, that's not something the style of play where we are possessing the ball more. We're doing a lot of triangles. We have a packing midfield with a very creative player that will dish the ball wide to then swing the ball back in. That's not something that Dom necessarily has seen success with thus far, and that's why I think he's going to be a sub.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think one of the reasons that Mueller is so successful is, one, his sheer will to score goals. But secondly, like you said, Akindelli and DK will pull defenders to open up space for someone else, right? And a lot of the goals that we got in this tournament wouldn't have happened if they weren't pulling defenders.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I don't think that Dom is that player. So he's not going to be interesting to see what happens with him moving forward.
And I think on the Mueller aspect, everybody, he's obviously a club favorite and rightly so. But I think the big thing here, and you can tell during the finals, he was frustrated because he wasn't playing, up to par for what he had been doing for most of the tournament. But I think that's going to come in time, because I think what Oscar Pereira and the staff there is doing is they are getting him to a place where he's consistent and he's a winger that is consistent. What I mean by that, he's not just an off-the-bench sub that puts his head down and just drives forward.
Correct.
They're trying to get him to play the 1-2s, to do the small things, to put an accurate cross in, to bomb in, to cut in and shoot. And we saw glimpses of that throughout the tournament, but it's going to take time, because for so long, all he used was just power and pace to just come in as a sub and just try to cause any sort of havoc that he could. And because we usually didn't have a whole lot going on, it worked. Well, if you want to be consistent and be in the game for a while, you have to do that, which means you have to do the small things so well. And I think that's what Correa and the team is getting him on trying to do. And you could see him be a very good player if he continues to work at that.
Yeah, I agree.
But kudos to Portland for taking the first MLS's back tournament.
Yeah. Matt Paul, you got one.
Yeah, we were back and forth. I know that's 2 for Matt now between Aston Villa beating Arsenal and then Orlando City. You gotta quit texting me during those matches, Matt. It's bad luck.
Yeah, but you know what? He's an Aston Villa fan, so he's bound to be right once in a while.
Oh, there it goes. Gauntlet thrown.
And he'll be cheering him on in the championship next year. So.
Oh.
I'm calling it now.
I didn't say any of those things, Matt. I didn't say any of those things. That's hysterical.
Up the Villa.
So, the MLS is back tournament is done. I would like to move on to Europe, but
sure.
I do not want to reveal my ignorance, but I'm going to reveal my ignorance.
Okay.
What does that mean for teams now that the season has started?
So those games counted towards the season, and that is part of the reason why Orlando City is first in the East.
Because
the actual math and percentage, I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows because it's the MLSsoccer.com group that loves to up anything that seems to be normal. But it does account
Can I interrupt
for
real quick?
Absolutely.
Can I interrupt real quick? The final was on a Tuesday night.
Yes, thank you. I was livid about that.
What was the point?
Why did it?
There was nothing else going on.
This is nothing. You could have had it on primetime Saturday at 8 p.m. and you could have had anything. This was your time to be like, oh, we can actually. And you do it on a Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Tuesday night.
When everybody carried it. What was the channel? Was it ESPN?
I think it was FS1.
FS1? I can't
remember. It was, yeah.
But yes, why not?
It might have been ESPN now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
But why not do it? I just don't understand. Like,
Tuesday night. What the else is going on?
The NWSL didn't even do it on a Tuesday night.
I know.
They at least did it on a Sunday in the afternoon when they should be.
Right, when you actually associate watching sports. Yes.
Oh, my God. But
weird.
It doesn't count. I thought I heard one of the I was listening to Sirius XM, the pre-game for the match yesterday, and they were saying that we're not even we're like 1/3 of the way through the MLS season. Since then, the league has resumed, and they have a slate of games that are out. And I was actually able to attend a game this past week. Which is usually a common thing to say, but in the times that we're in, they announced the league was coming back. They announced a slate of games. I think they announced 6 or 7 that was through. And there was 3 home games. A couple days later, we got an email saying that they are allowing a limited capacity into the stadium with a bunch of safety measures and protocols and all of that. And it was certain things you had. It's essentially 3 games, but you couldn't buy individual tickets to the games. You had to buy a 3-game package, and you had to do it in a certain way to help with the social distancing and those coming into the stadium. And I'll say it was a different experience on, what night was it? Wednesday night? But it was a good experience, and it was one that I think the club was doing a very good job with. Temp checks for everyone. Everyone had to wear a mask unless you were in your seat and having something to eat or drink. Even if you were in your seat, you had to wear a mask. Social distance at every line. You couldn't go to sections of the stadium. So you know how we usually go over to the supporter section for the craft beer that's over there?
Right.
Yeah.
That was cordoned off, and you had to have a ticket for the supporter section.
Oh, so it's like the stadium in the UK.
Yeah, it's well, and they usually have it that way if you're trying to go up into the stands, but not on the sides to even go in there and get a drink. I don't believe they're doing drafts at all. It's all canned beer. So they're putting a lot of things in place that are very well done on how they're doing everything. And I saw stewards, if fans were in the seats not wearing a mask, I saw stewards walk down the aisle and say, hey, please put your mask on if you're not having a drink. The sections of seats were blocked off by, or you could only buy it in, with a row or two between you and seats between you. So it was an interesting experience, but I don't know how the other teams are doing it or exactly. I would assume they're doing it similarly as they try to get fans back in. But the league has resumed, and I don't know how exactly it counts to the season, but we're about 1/3 of the way done.
I just wish I knew what the math was.
Good luck, because the MLS can't even figure out their website name. So how are they going to figure out math?
Well, what's interesting is that the Eastern Conference table is a little bit different. So the way they have it listed right now, Toronto FC is in first place on 18 points. And there's a color code next to them that's called the final series. And then 2 through 7 are all part of the final series playoffs. So I'm not exactly sure, because I feel like that's different than a normal season.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't make any sense, because every alert that I don't know. It's too early. I just want to enjoy this beer and not try to figure out some shambolic table that the MLS has put together.
Why is
and don't even get me started on the damn broadcasting rights that they do, thinking that they're the NFL and the cream of the crop here in the States. F*** off.
Yeah. So what was you guys about? So you guys and I were trying to watch the Atlanta game, right?
Yeah.
Was it Atlanta?
It was the Atlanta? No, it was the Inter game a few weeks back.
Inter. Right. So we were trying to watch it. I couldn't find it on TV, and it was blacked out. So I wasn't able to watch it. And the game was not, quote, sold out. So it was blacked out, kind of like the NFL does.
Was it on a local channel we didn't have access to? Do you know?
All right. So for me, I think it was on my 65, which I get. I get that channel, and I get it on YouTube TV, which is an internet-based cable type thing. And I love YouTube TV. By the way, if you guys want to sponsor us, that'd be great. Fantastic. Been so happy since I switched. But it kept giving me an error that you can't watch this game over the internet, which makes me think that if I had
BS because it's YouTube TV.
If I had Spectrum through a hard box,
yes,
and had that same station,
actually, you know what's BS?
What's the difference?
You know what's BS? If you had Spectrum's streaming app, you could have watched it too.
Oh, Jesus! What?
Right?
That's.
Yeah,
let me have this beer.
It's a mess. I live. Yeah. My address. I am so close to like Disney World, yet my address makes my cable think that I'm in Tampa.
Tampa, yeah.
Which is an hour and 40 from me, hour and a half from me. Like it's ridiculous. So like I don't get my 65 and all that stuff. It makes me crazy.
Well, and then also it was available on ESPN Plus in both English and Spanish, and you couldn't watch it there either.
Correct.
Because they were blacked out. And
correct.
It's like
which
right MLS, now, there's nothing going on right now. Make it available so people can enjoy and watch it.
And
maybe gain interest in the league.
And if you are the
MLSsoccer.com.
And I realize we don't know the answer to this. But if you're the clubs, you should be freaking out saying, people can't get out. Could we please make this so they can watch it?
Yeah.
So that we can keep interest in our team.
We can only sell a limited amount of tickets for people to be there. And we want our fans to be able to watch it. I don't understand why the clubs aren't
they may be
raising more of a stink of this.
Behind the scenes, potentially maybe.
That's because the owners have been paid.
Mm-hmm.
The broadcasting rights allow them to get paid, so they don't give two about where it goes as long as the checks clear every week.
Which, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but it's also business practice because you don't have a team if you don't have fans.
You're still trying to grow the league. How can Blake in Orlando, Florida, me in Apopka, Florida, which is right there, obviously, if you don't know the area, not be able to watch Orlando City and Inter Miami in Florida? Both teams are in Florida. They're playing in Florida. How can we not watch it? And yet, and I don't mean we can't watch it because we are too stingy and didn't pay for services or don't have any services or don't have we are very fortunate enough to have those. But they was available on ESPN, on My 65, on various options, and we couldn't. It's bull.
Especially in this time when it's limited in-person viewership.
And limited sports are already on the air and not playing. So try to capitalize on it and try to promote your league.
You should capitalize on is your regular season started in late August. So, Don Garber, call up Blake and we'll get you on the international calendar program that Blake has been talking about since this podcast has started. And we can get you on to our program of the international calendar. So our transfer windows and all sorts of things actually line up correctly. And we can enjoy some nice MLS, like normal rest of the world soccer does. That'd be great.
Yeah. And it's all going to go to,
here we go.
It's all going to go to when the Qatar World Cup happens.
Yeah,
well, no one can fight that. That's just all... that's a mess.
You may as well just waste the
whole
entire middle of that section.
That's a whole other can of worms where checks have cleared and things have happened that we could go into more and more.
No checks cleared in those deals because that's a paper trail.
Yeah, that's you're very
just
true.
Envelopes of cash. That's what that is.
No faxes have been done like the Barcelona and Messi. Like, who the uses a fax machine anymore? Oh my god, we'll get into that later.
Remember?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Like for the whole.
Let's move on to the Europa League.
Yeah,
let's go to something people care about. Question mark?
Well, Europa League people do care about. It's not quite the cream of the crop, but it was a very interesting return to them as Sevilla knocked off Manchester United in the semis and Inter Milan in the finals, en route to winning the Europa League Cup final. Sevilla now leads all European teams with 6 titles in this tournament, which was formerly known as the UEFA Cup. This not only marked a wonderful achievement by Sevilla, but also their manager, Julian Lopetegui, who has been through it in the past few years as he was sacked in June of 2018 as Spain manager, and sacked as Real Madrid manager later that year in October, to only be named manager of Sevilla in June of 2019, and then go on to win his first club managerial trophy. So well done to Sevilla. They definitely deserve it. Knocked off some powerhouses, and for Julian Lopetegui, who's been through it all, he got his team to play very, very well, and it was a...
he must feel so much better.
I think it was ESPN FC posted a picture of him, and you just saw what it meant to him. He just kind of broke down and was like, and good for them. Yes, I was mad that United lost and they got beat out by them, and we had like double the shots and all of that. But you know what? They earned it. They not only beat them, but beat another powerhouse team that was playing very, very well, and good for them. And to win 6 and lead all teams in this cup, that is a hell of an achievement.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Good for them.
Yeah,
which leads us.
I say the Europa League had a little less controversy than Champions League going into its end. Not controversy, but just craziness, I should say.
Drama,
yeah. Champions League quarterfinals were pretty. I thought the quarterfinals were like the NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Or the NHL playoffs. Like they were that exciting.
Those are always better than the final. Just always. And these quarterfinals, Atalanta playing hard against PSG. They end up dropping, though. RB Leipzig takes out Atletico Madrid. Barcelona just gets completely creamed by Bayern Munich.
I cut my Xbox off because I thought I had left it on easy and was like watching a simulated match. Like I didn't know what was happening. Like
crazy.
Bayern, and when
just hasted.
I mean,
and you watched and you go back and you watch the game. Barcelona's defense was Swiss cheese. I mean, it was Semedo, PK, Ter Stegen had a howler. Like, I mean, there was just nobody on their back line. Not to mention, nobody up front was doing anything. It was the worst that anybody's seen from that club in a long time.
It was so bad, Messi wants out.
I mean, they're clearing house. Not Chelsea clearing house, but they're clearing house pretty well.
Chelsea, I don't even know if that club name exists anymore, Ron. They might have sold that at this point. Or we were trying
to see. They sold that with 10 other players.
They're changing names.
Man
Barcelona
City
just looked like they didn't care to be there. That was
they were just poor in every sense of the term, whether they were passing, shooting, defending,
wearing kits. I mean, it was bad.
Just terrible. There was about a 3-minute frenzy for Barcelona, and when they didn't score in any of those chances in that rough 3-minute chance, you could see they just all gave up. It was just over. And credit to Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich is a team that just grinds other teams out.
Into paste.
You know, they play that high press. They're highly organized, fast. When they get a turnover, they are quick to mobilize. When they lose their ball, when they lose the ball, they're quick to maintain shape, and they actively hunt the ball to get it back.
Yeah,
Bayern Munich was easily the best team.
At 6-2, they were still playing like they needed a goal to win.
Yeah,
it was kind of awesome.
Well, and it's
weird how, though, unlike the women's national team,
Heinz Flick has really instilled a lot in the team that the previous managers couldn't quite figure out. How to fully utilize Robert Lewandowski, how to kind of have a resurgence of Thomas Müller. He's brought that back. And that's what pushed them over the edge to win the league and pushed them extremely forward to win the Champions League.
It's just weird because, unlike when the U.S. women's national team beat, was it Thailand? By like, how many goals?
Thailand or Vietnam?
Thought it was Thailand, like 11 or something.
Yeah,
13.
Funny. Yeah, it's
13,
funny.
There it is.
No one has accused Bayern Munich of being poor sports. I wonder what the difference is.
That's because a lot of people don't like Barcelona.
No,
a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't.
The difference. I mean, fair enough, but I don't think that's the difference. That was the first thing I thought. I wonder if there'll be any people complaining about Bayern not being good sports here. Probably not.
So you're right. It was Thailand, and it was 13 zip. Yeah, on 6/11 of 2019.
Oh, that's what it is. You have to get up to 10 goals for it to. Okay, I got you. See, Bayern Munich made sure they only scored 8. That's what.
Come on, you got to score 2 more, Bayern. What are you doing,
right?
That then set off another crazy semifinal game with Olympic Lyonnais beating Manchester City 3-1.
And it's a big
what a
deal.
match!
This is a big deal because this was Man City. This is what
crazy.
This is what they wanted. Everybody thought they could really, because they just were never going to catch up to Liverpool. This is really what they should go after. So this is a big deal for them to lose out here.
Yeah, and Pep still can't advance and get to a finals or win the one thing that the club's been trying to win all along. And Olympic Lyonnais just kind of countered and just picked them apart. They weren't dominant in the game because you're not going to get that playing against the Pep side, but your counters have to be on point, and theirs were, and good for them.
They capitalized on the Manchester City mistake and then made them pay for it. That's the recipe to beat Man City, right? I mean, obviously not everybody can do it, right? But your counterattacks and your transition from being defense to that counterattacking offense has to be quick. All of your players have to be aware and making smart moves to make that happen, especially against the talented Manchester City side. And Manchester City didn't have a prayer in that.
Mm-mm. And that was, I mean, the quarter finals were very exciting. And we failed to mention RB Leipzig's 2-1 win over
we mentioned
Madrid.
No, we talked over it.
Yeah, sorry. But those 4 games were like, oh my gosh, now that like the semis and the finals, well, those were just kind of bland. I mean, PSG beat RB Leipzig 3-0, and so did Bayern Munich beat Olympic Lyonnais 3-0 as well. So where these kind of underdogs got through, they quickly realized they were playing with the big boys and went out fairly quick.
It still does a lot for the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even getting to the semis of the UEFA Champions League, RB Leipzig, who wasn't an unknown club before,
but they were also they're the newest club in terms of they've only been around like less than 10 years as a club in general.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it's still good for them to be going up against PSG in the semis and Bayern Munich in the semis. Even if they're losing, they're still gaining notoriety, right? And also they're going to be able to recruit better and better players because look how far they've been able to get.
Well, yeah, and where they're at
and
right
give
now
up players.
Yes, is they are becoming a little bit of a selling club where they're good enough to get there sometimes, but not quite good enough to hang on to them.
I think a lot of us would have picked PSG and Bayern in a final. That wasn't a hard prediction.
No, and for PSG to get to a final, that's something that's all that they wanted to do. Well, that's what they wanted to do was win the entire thing. They haven't been able to do that, but they have yet to get to a final with their experiment with Neymar, and they finally got there, and they just came up against a German powerhouse and Bayern.
And actually, a surprisingly low-scoring game between the two. A lot of goals on the way in.
Well, you don't really see a high-scoring game in finals. They're going to be a little bit more cagier. They're going to be a little bit more reserved.
Yeah, much
and players, much more conservative because teams are kind of afraid to give up goals or let a wave of goals go in, and that type of game lends more to the side of Bayern than it does PSG.
Absolutely, and I think PSG let Bayern Munich's win over Barcelona dictate how they should be super conservative, and that just not basically they beat themselves. You played yourself, mate.
Yeah,
you played yourself.
You did.
All right, man. That brings us to some more footy headlines from around the world of soccer. What a mess with Messi.
And boy, do we.
Okay, this timeline of events, it's like, this is so far. I feel like I'm on the History Channel. August 14th, 2020, Barcelona suffer a humiliating loss to Bayern Munich 8-2 in the semis of the Champions League.
Wah, wah.
August 17th, 2020.
3 days later.
Yeah, just 3 days later. Setien is sacked as Barcelona's manager on the 19th.
See ya.
Which is crazy because they did win their league.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't win.
No, they
league.
lost.
Real Madrid won.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Real Madrid fired their manager though, didn't they? Yeah.
No.
Mm-mm.
No, Real Madrid did not. It's still the ball guy that headbutted.
Zinedine Zidane.
Zidane, thank
Yeah,
you.
who won their league and got canned?
Oh, you're thinking of
Sorry.
Sorry,
Yes, he won his
No.
league and got canned. Yeah, he did. It was a mutual party, whatever, but still.
Oh, yes.
That's who I was thinking of. Let's see. On the 19th of August, former player of the club, Ronald Koeman, leaves his job as the national team coach of the Netherlands and is announced the new Barcelona manager. That was an interesting hire. August 22nd, reports start to come out that Messi's furious that details of his meetings with new boss Ronald Koeman was leaked to the press. On the 25th, reports come out that Koeman reportedly tells Messi, your privileges in the squad are over. You have to do everything for the team. I'm going to be inflexible. You have to think about the team, which is kind of awesome. I won't lie.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's not entirely wrong. He's not wrong. Now, if you're going the Fergie route and you're going modern days game, that message isn't going to go across to not only a superstar on a team, but possibly one of the greatest players ever to play the game, and probably the best player that we will ever see and probably ever play the game.
But if you want to win,
that message isn't going to go across well.
So then,
but you know what? He still needed. I think he still needed his head snapped around.
He does.
I don't disagree with you.
This is what happens. August 25th, Barcelona on the same day. Barcelona confirmed Lionel Messi informed the club in writing that he wants to leave the Catalonian club after nearly 2 decades of service.
He's having a temper tantrum.
And here's the thing.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Ron.
Right.
Thank you, Ron. I was saying this. He is that type of player that throws his toys out and just, I don't have it my way, so I'm going to bitch and I'm going to leave. And we've seen this before, right?
In Argentina.
Yes. We've seen this before. When things get tough, he leaves. Yeah,
right.
He might be the greatest player of all time and whatnot, but this for me is why Ronaldo will always be better. He's not only done it in 3 different leagues, but he's exited every club the way that it should be, or in a way that is more not.
This also,
I'm losing. I'm throwing. I'm doing it. No, it's like I want to further and I want to make another team better. So I can do this in Italy. I can do this in Spain. I can do this in England, where Messi plays against Getafe every week and does it in this league, and now he doesn't win the league once and gets smacked one time, and there's a bit of a changeover in a very well-known club that can buy anyone they want, and things aren't going his way, and the manager didn't tell him what he wants to hear. So you know what? I'm done.
Well, and I think that means that Robert Koeman, when he was hired, said, I won't sign this paper until you tell me I can deal with Messi how I need to deal with Messi. Because even if you go into a next season not winning, having Messi on your club sells enough jerseys to probably make a crap ton of money. So
yes,
there is a business decision to think about if you're willing to let Messi go. So this tells me that Barcelona brought in Robert Koeman on his terms. Ronald. Sorry, I don't know why I said Robert.
Ronald. And
I was thinking Robert Redford because he's kind of got that Robert Redford hair going on.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But he used to be a defender at the club and was there for years. And is a very well-known, legendary type player for the club. He left his Netherlands national team job, who the Netherlands have been on the up and up. Yeah. So to leave that to come and manage Barcelona, that's a heck of a decision. And that means that they're looking to reform the club a little bit and kind of get them back on track. And that's kind of a complete change to what they've had, but he's going to get them more defensively sound and utilize the players that he does. And Ron, you're right. The things that he said to Messi aren't necessarily wrong. But if you're trying, but in today's game, it's not going to go over too well, and it may backfire in your face.
But what's backfiring?
I don't know.
Because you have to kind of massage each player's ego.
I think what they're doing in some ways is really smart, right? Look at he made a statement. Essentially, Koeman was like, look, you're all playing for the team or you can piss off, right? Suarez, basically history. Silva, basically history. Two selfish players in the team. Barcelona has been a slow decline because they have a team full of individuals. They don't have a team of teammates that are playing toward the same goal.
Right. There's no Iniesta. There's no Xavi. There's no Carlos Puyol. All those players that helped them to get to this dominance that they've had as of recently have all retired or moved on. And there's Busquets, PK, Messi that are kind of left of that original core.
But also think about the average age of the players you just mentioned. It's an old team. They're not young by any stretch anymore.
No, but something that was interesting is Koeman did let PK and Busquets know that they would factor into his plans severely, which I get. I get because that's part of the core there that you want to factor in. And if you're going to play the style of ball that Koeman plays, they are integral to that part.
Well, they also need to teach the young people, without a doubt, he's bringing a bunch of young people in that are very talented, and he's going to need some people to anchor those younger people in this, kind of rebuilding time.
And he also gave a lot to Antoine Griezmann, who recently moved there and has not had a very good year at all in terms of what he had been doing previously. But he basically said, you're going to play the position that you're used to playing, which is essentially the Suarez position, the number 9. Right. And that's where I want you, because that's where you're most effective. So it's interesting, and I get why Barcelona brought them in, because you do have to enact some sort of change when you lost the league to a Real Madrid team that's really not that great, and kind of added in a manager, and then they pushed over and beat you when the year ended. And then you get smacked in the Champions League by a team that, by all means, you should at least compete very well with.
Yeah.
So it's okay. There is change that needs to happen, but have Barcelona gone about it in a way that can keep their superstar there? No, they haven't. But is a change that is needed? Only time will tell.
So Messi can go play at Man City
somewhere else.
So where does he go? I think we were asked this on Twitter by Matt Call, right?
I believe it was Matt, yeah.
Yeah, and I said there's only a few places that he could go with the wage that he's on, and if financial fair play is even a thing anymore.
Yeah, since it doesn't matter, yeah.
If it is.
There's a lot of headlines. There's a lot of headlines since Man City is sniffing around. The financial fair play rules, man, so many people are investigating the possibilities of where he would go and if it would be legal.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I said. Man City would be the obvious choice because of the Pep, and Pep's only won a Champions League with a Messi-led squad. So why not put them back together, and could he be the final piece? That very well could happen, and adding that player to any team is going to be fantastic. My problem is Kevin De Bruyne plays a very similar position as Messi, and right now he's at the top of his game. So why would you want to kind of alienate him and push him aside? But anyways, the financial side of it is, could they do it? Yes, he alone will bring in the shirt sales and other marketing sales, off the field sales that they need. But Man City still isn't a powerhouse in terms of top clubs in the world to bring in the viewership and dollars and cents that are associated with that.
Yeah.
The other clubs are PSG, who I thought was a very viable option because they could offload a few
I could see
players, and he goes back with Neymar and Mbappe, and there's kind of your front three that they had when they won all those, all those cups and leagues and everything. And Messi continues to play in a league that is kind of not as intense as the Premier League, and all they go for is the Champions League.
Yeah.
Real Madrid's another team. I mean, I think
there'd be a riot.
Oh
I think it'd be amazing. I think it'd be amazing. 2 fingers you to Barca if he goes over to that team, but I don't think he's going to do that. And Manchester United. Those are kind of the 4 teams that we really could afford. And
I feel like it's a waste of money for Man U.
I don't think it's not.
I think
it doesn't
smart.
fit. It doesn't fit into our plans of the young talent and things that we're doing. Now, by all means, if he signs, you don't turn down a player like that. But I agree. I just don't think it's something that we necessarily want to explore at this time.
Hey, Newcastle
and maybe
comes
Bayern. Yeah, Newcastle. Can you see Messi in a Newcastle shirt up there with the Geordies? God almighty. He'd be 400 pounds by the end of December from all the pies that he eats.
Oh, he'd just be stressed the shit out. It's so funny.
That's hysterical.
You would see him age like 30 years because of all the rain and the cold. He'd be miserable.
Yeah. So where does Choppers go?
Well, Choppers.
A lot of talk of Inter Miami.
Suarez? No. He's a villain. He's a villain.
Yeah, Suarez. I call Suarez Choppers because he had that run in the Premier League when he was with Liverpool that he had to bite people.
And who's missing their villain right now? Chelsea. Get ready to see Choppers in some blue. You need a red card getting goal score because you've been missing that with what's his nuts not there anymore. And so there you go. Suarez, you don't have John Henry. So you need Suarez. You need a villain back over at Chelsea to round it out. Frank knows. Frank's a good guy.
Not on the list.
A nice guy, but he knows you need a jerk somewhere to fit the Chelsea scheme.
I don't think he's going there whatsoever. But
he's not even close to going there.
No, Inter Miami seems to be the perennial bookie's favorite at the time.
He would score a lot of goals in MLS.
He would score. I don't want to see him come here. Not only because we have another Drogba type villain to hate in the league, but I don't know. It just definitely seems like they're going to dismember the Barcelona team a lot as they look to not get humiliated again.
So, last thing, what are the chances Messi stays in Barcelona?
Oh, that he stays, that he's used this as a bargaining chip to stay in Barcelona? I think that is also... Is it 49% he stays, 51% he goes? It's still
something like that. It's one of the higher ones. Yeah, it could be. I mean, just today he told Barcelona he's not going to partake in their COVID testing for the club that they have to kind of do before preseason.
Man, he is a 10-year-old holding his breath in the corner. It's so funny. So funny. The Brett Favre of soccer. I love it.
Just retire. Look at my Wrangler
He's
jeans.
not going to do that.
Messi's
and he's not going to come to the MLS either. He's not. He's way too talented and not at that like 38-year-old age to where he's going to decide to come here for his last few
He's still got too much soccer ahead of him.
Oh, I said just retire about Brett Favre and his Wrangler jeans. Because remember, Brett just
I just mean...
God, I love those commercials.
That he just I don't want to retire. I just can't play with Argentina. There's nobody there.
Guess who he's back playing with? Argentina.
Yeah. Yep. So there's a good chance he's still at Barca. This doesn't change anything.
Yeah, we'll see how this all unfolds.
Speaking of villains unfolding, our next topic is the Harry Maguire arrest saga. Yeah.
Another History Channel special with timeline of events.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this timeline's pretty crazy. August 21st, 2020, Harry Maguire is arrested on the Greek Isle of Mykonos following the reported brawl at a restaurant while he's on holiday with his friends and family. And then on the 22nd, he is charged, but he enters a plea deal, or a plea of not guilty for, quote, unspecified charges, which stem from this alleged altercation at the restaurant. On the 24th, reports start to come out that Harry's sister, Daisy, was given a date rape drug by this is the best, quote, two Albanians.
With, like those sneaky Albanians.
Like,
they not only took Liam Neeson's daughter, but like the Albanians are always on the bad side of things. I forgot
that they were the villains in the Taken movie. Oh my gosh.
Like the Albanians. It's always them. What? Those poor Albanians are probably such nice, sweet people, and yet they get charged for taking everybody's daughter and doing things as sisters. Like
you're gonna find out.
Let those people be.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So then on the 25th, Gareth Southgate names Maguire to the England squad for a bunch of upcoming friendlies. Then Harry Maguire is convicted of assault, resisting arrest, and bribery, and he's given a suspended sentence of 21 months and 10 days in prison after his trial.
That he was not at, but his dad and lawyer was.
Yeah. And what does the suspended sentence mean?
It means you're a star. We don't want you actually to serve.
Yeah.
Jail.
So then why are you sentenced? That makes zero sense.
Well,
I don't know.
It's because they don't want to fill their prisons with a non-serious crime like we do for all our privatized prisons. I mean, to be perfectly frank, that's why it's like,
yeah,
that's what it is.
So then Southgate removes Maguire from the England squad, and then Maguire and the legal team file an appeal. 3 days later, Harry Maguire does his first public interview with the BBC where he says, "I feared for my life." He's also quoted as saying that the guilty verdict was horrible and that he, quote, couldn't believe it. Other quotes from the interview: "I don't feel I owe an apology to anybody. An apology is something you do when you've done something wrong. I found myself in a situation where it could have happened to anybody, anywhere. They hit me a lot on the legs." And then he also said, "I know what happened that night. I know the truth." Now, there is something to be said for when soccer stars get into altercations or they get into scrapes like a bunch of Leicester City players got when they were with some English mobster and things like that, where they attack the person's legs. So like that's not out of the realm of possibility, but this whole thing is just so interestingly far flung that it's just crazy.
Well, and the problem is, okay, so did it happen? Those guys tried to drop something to her drink, and he's like, "I'm going to whip your ass," as any brother would. Or
yes, 100%.
Is it
right?
Those guys try to start some stuff because they know who he is, and maybe there's money to be had out of it. Like, there's, or did he get hammered and cause a scene, and it is his fault?
Well,
it's just all over the place,
right? It's all over. And when the first story first comes out, you're like, "Oh, good old English lad out having a few pints and getting into a brawl." Harry, come on, let's get into it, a little scuffle. Come on, and then you're like, okay, now he's bribing officers. Now he's trying to resist arrest. now he's out with like this snooker player, and the pictures of him looks like he was having himself a good time. You can't blame him. He's 20-some years old, just went through a hell of a season out there with his family, his girlfriend, other players like Marcus Rashford was out there, Ross Barkley from Chelsea, Daniel James, a whole bunch of them went out there, and none of them are implicated or charged with any of this stuff. But
I can't wait to find out what the truth actually is.
Well,
right,
that
like
might be hard
it's somewhere in between all of this. It's Maguire's story, it's the prosecuting and Greece stories, and then
at least I haven't seen an interview with his sister or anything like that.
Right. There are things that I was seeing where the other people were saying, yes, the sister definitely went through an episode where her eyes rolled back in her head, and they all thought she was drugged. So they went over to help, and that's where kind of an altercation, from what Maguire's saying, there wasn't actually any punches thrown or anything like that. It was loud, it was heated, but there wasn't actually a brawl. So then they left in this bus. And then where it gets interesting is they left in this bus to go back to the hotel. They were then pulled over, from what all reports are saying on either side, by unmarked officers. So an undercover type officer in plain clothes. So they were then pulled out of the bus, and that's where the things like hitting the legs and whatnot. And I'm there's a whole bunch of different versions of this. And that's where Maguire felt like him, because of his stature and notoriety, they were being kidnapped. So he tried to run, and they tried to run because they didn't know that it was like, they weren't in like a traditional police,
right?
Uniform. So they're going to try to extort us for millions and protect myself and I had to run. That's his side of the story. Obviously, he was convicted for resisting arrest, and if he's saying that's what happened, okay, that you can see where here's one side, here's the other side. Now, where's the actual truth? But to throw in Albanians, to throw in being hostages, to being yanked off the bus by unmarked people, to having your legs beat, saying your career's over, like, this is a good old right English, like, tabloid, like, they're loving this right now. As Manchester United captain, England squad player, this is a hell of a saga that the tabloids over in England just fucking love.
Harry, there's a pandemic going on. You were supposed to be chill with traveling anyway. I hope this proved the point that you should have just stayed home.
Right?
This is dumb.
I mean, it's something that I give Manchester United a lot of credit for coming out and supporting the process and supporting the player, going, okay, yes, he's the captain, but we're not going to make any rash or instant reactions to pull something from him at this time. Let's we've talked to him, he's talked to us, we're following it. We will make a decision once things get worked out. The thing is I think I was reading, under Greek law, his appeal, the minute he appeals and that appeal got approved, the minute that appeal gets approved, his conviction, it basically voids that. It's like he's never been charged with anything at the moment because.
So then how did they
of the appeal?
Like, that makes no sense.
Well, no, saying if the appeal is approved to go forward as an appeal, it wipes that out.
It is. And it has been approved. Yes.
Right. But it was approved.
But not before the sentencing. Right. So
which is weird.
Because, basically because they did the case and they said, okay, we now prove you guilty. And the judge goes, you're guilty. You're going to serve 20 months and 10, whatever, it happened at that moment. It's not like it happened and then it's not like sometimes here where you'll do the guilty and then do sentencing later.
How fast is that? That no one ever gets convicted that fast.
I know, that was a real quick. I was like, damn.
Fast. I will say that is the other side that's a little like, what is going on here?
And like, it's you can talk about, you don't want to put your, as the captain of Manchester, you don't want to put yourself in that situation and whatnot. But you have to think, they're 20-some years old. I mean, I couldn't imagine having the power and the finances and the notoriety that these players have nowadays to where they can't go out and do what all of us did, have a drink down at the pub with your boys and have a night where you're a bit hazy and didn't do anything too bad. But like it's tough to then have it spiral into this. It gets hazy and it gets weird because, okay, yes, he had drinks. Where did that lead to? Was his sister actually drugged? If I found out my sister was drugged, I think any of us are going to that defense and going after it, especially if it's Albanians. Like, we know where that leads. Have you seen Taken 1 through 7? Like, to then be on a to then be on a bus somewhere, to then be pulled off. Is,
woman, just stay home. Don't go anywhere.
Yes. No more vacations for you. Like, it's a hell of a saga now that, like, where is the truth? Do I think that in the end he'll actually serve time? No, I don't think he will. Do I think he'll still remain Manchester United captain? Yes. Will he play probably the first game of the year? Probably not, but who the heck knows? And I'm sure his story is somewhere, there are parts of it that are true, and there are parts of the Greek story that are true. And it seemed like, more than ever, it seemed like this was just one big misunderstanding that just then snowballed and continued to snowball, and boom, 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 boom. And now it is the best English tabloid saga of 2020.
Well, before we move on to more English news with Chelsea, there is breaking news out of Barcelona right now. In that La Liga has sided with Barcelona, saying Messi cannot leave on a free transfer, and that if he leaves, his 700 million euro transfer clause will go into effect. Release clause will go into effect.
And we didn't even mention that.
He's going to still be playing for Barcelona.
Probably. And we didn't even mention that because there was another thing that Messi and his father and team thought they could get out of the contract for free, because there was a provision in the contract that stated that if he let the club know in writing prior to a certain time, he could leave for free of this year. Well, in the contract, apparently it says if you let us know before June something in writing, which would normally be the end of the 2020 season.
So he did that, but it's not June. Like, he did it at the end of the season, but
not in June. And if it's a contract, odds are that has dates. So if you didn't do it before the date, you really don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah. And then who's going to pay that money?
Nobody. So he's going to play in Barcelona, even if he's on the bench. So there you go.
Oh God, what if he does pull like some NFL stuff where he holds out for the entire season and sits on the bench? Oh, I hope he does that. just to help show the little throwing your toys out and being that'd be fantastic.
He pulls a Pyatt. Remember?
Yeah,
Pyatt did
true. With West Ham.
Yeah. And where's Pyatt now?
He's playing for Marseille. He's playing for Marseille in the French league. He's done well, but it's the French league, so unless you're PSG, you're kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, no one knows. So moving on to more English news, Chelsea's signings and releases. It's a lot.
It's a lot of signings. You know what this eerily reminds me of? Yes, you know what this eerily reminds me of? Fulham a few years back when they came up and chopped and changed so much that they went back down. I don't think it's going to happen with this team. There's a lot better players involved, but it is interesting the amount of and it's interesting the amount of turnover that is occurring.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There are 10 players up for sale on the Chelsea squad right now, which is crazy. Chief among them, Arrizabalaga, our goalkeeper. They just do not get along very well. Jorginho.
Can't understand why he didn't want to come off the field and throw up. I can't understand why.
Yep. Jorginho, who I'm not sad to see leave. Antonio Rudiger, who tried hard, but thanks anyway. Alonso.
I like him as a defender.
I am kind of sad to see Alonso go, but I understand. Emerson. Victor Moses. Okay, see ya. Bakayoko. Kurt Zuma. Christensen. Batshuayi. All up for sale. And this is the one that just boggles my mind that is up for sale. N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
Manchester United, please go in for him. That would be...
Are you kidding me? Also, the reports are that they're going to sell N'Golo Kante to get Declan Rice.
See, now I could understand that slightly. Slightly.
Nope.
Because he is young, he is English, and he is essentially a younger version of Conte that could add something to the squad. So I can see that.
Nope.
Yeah, N'Golo Kante, everybody's going to pounce on that.
For Declan Rice.
I think a lot of people will. I don't think like a Man City will, but I can see a Man United. I can see Arsenal. I can see Spurs. I could see them all going.
Arsenal beat him. Yeah, that would be great.
He'd fit in that actually very well.
Spurs, although I don't think he would go to Spurs because he and Mourinho didn't get along very well. But any of the top 6 or 7 teams would be so happy to have him. He's still probably, even though he hasn't had a couple of good years since they've moved him out of his position, he's still one of the best midfielders in the entire game. Why are you getting rid of him?
You've already made a lot of changes in general that kind of make sense with the names that you said. I mean, for Jorginho, you're bringing Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. That happened actually in January. For the striker position, which I think is their best signing so far, Timo Werner. I think he'll bring a lot of goals. Left back Ben Chilwell, so you're talking to Marcus Alonso there. Is Chilwell better? That's debatable. I think Chilwell's better on the defensive side of the ball, where Alonso offers you more. He offers you height. He offers you a little bit more power. And he offers you a great hair deals. You can get Tresemme and L'Oreal and all of them in with him.
He also offers better. He's a better set piece taker than Chilwell is.
Yeah, he's very useful in the team where Chilwell will kind of just be there. But now in a Frank Lampard team, he does want some consistency and some old school English type defending, which Alonso doesn't much offer. Defender Al Ansar from East, so there's your Rudiger type, replacement. All good signings, all good names, all players that have had success at their clubs. It makes sense. And then they just signed Thiago Silva to add a little bit of veteran experience back there. He's only on a 1-year deal, with an option to buy. Does he have the legs for the Premier League? Who knows? But then again, Leicester City won the league a few years back with Robert Huth and Oregon, who were up there in age. So there is something to be said for that. It's just, all of these collective signings from different leagues and different regimes pin together and really listen to what Frank has to say and play his style of ball. Because you still have your Mounts there. You still have your who's the other kid that's there? Cheek. You have a lot of talent there that can they now mesh and integrate well with a Frankie Lampard style Chelsea.
Yeah. And another person that they're talking about offloading is Tammy Abraham.
I think Ron just disconnected, no?
No, he didn't. I got him.
Oh, do you? Okay. I have him on my end.
Yeah.
Tommy Abraham, I know, is another rumored one. I will say this. We all thought Chelsea would have a very bad season potentially, and they punched way above what we expected.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a gamble. I mean, like you said, Ferris, a lot of these some things make sense, but if they don't keep a Champions League spot, for example, this is going to look like a really bad experiment. Because they definitely did better than you thought they were going to do what they had.
I think if this can't all pull together, I think one of the managers that could be on the chopping block he's going to be one of them. I think if he can't pull it together.
I think he gets more grace than if he weren't Frank Lampard. I think he would get longer than others would.
Yeah. And, another thing is you don't get Christian Pulisic back for probably the first quarter of the season.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be in preseason, and he's probably going to miss till just before Christmas, maybe a little earlier. So I'm excited that we're spending all this money. I think we are. By and large, I'm happy. I just don't think they should be selling off N'Golo Kante.
And it is wild to think that we are starting the Premier League in 3 weeks.
September 12th, right?
Yeah, it's a little over 2 weeks. There you go. Right around the corner, guys. What's next on the docket? Our other London team. Our Arsenal, the Arsenal, they win the Community Shield against Liverpool, beating Liverpool twice in the 1920 season. Liverpool looked like they had not had their coffee that morning. And Arsenal just looked, I don't know, they looked cleaner. At one point, Liverpool did pull in where they were staying on Arsenal's half so long. I thought something was going to break through, but it never did. 1-1, 1-1, and for the second time at Wembley in a few weeks, Arsenal wins in penalty shootout. I'll say this, Arsenal's penalty shots were great.
Just so smooth.
They were all just so good. Calm,
very cool, collected. Very relaxed.
Maitland-Niles,
very easy.
Who has been rumored to be up for sale, had a great game. It was his birthday. He's been named to the England squad. So I question whether he's going anywhere or not just yet.
Yeah.
Unless they think they can get a good chunk of change for him and there's something they need. But he had a great game. It was a weird one because I think, Aubameyang scored in like the 12th minute, I believe.
Yeah.
And I love that he immediately did his Wakanda Forever. That he did when he got the Black Panther mask a couple years ago. Yeah, that he immediately did that following the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And then he was the last guy to take the final penalty too, to seal the game.
That's right, he was.
Yeah, I will say I know it's the Community Shield, but between the FA Cup and this, I think this helps getting Aubameyang signed on for another year.
Hopefully, I mean that has yet to fully happen, and hopefully that's the case. And he's looked so well, and he's definitely earned it. The thing, is if he does sign, will he continue doing that?
Right.
And he's definitely seemed like a player that he will, and he'll continue to play as tough as he can and continue to produce and score goals. It's definitely for Arsenal. It is more importantly than anything, it is a confidence boost. It's continuing to build the confidence of what is a young team and what Arteta's trying to do. On the Liverpool side of the ball, a lot of names in here that you might not see starting too much. A lot of the subs were people like Curtis Jones, Brewster. I mean, just names that you probably won't see a whole lot, to where, Liverpool coming off of a very successful league title, were they entirely up for this game in such short time? Who the heck knows? But didn't quite meet that in penalties, as I think Brewster claimed one off the crossbar, and that was the one that was missed. So, it's one of those games that could have gone either way. But
Klopp call, he got pulled in the last second. If you remember, he was a switch.
Yeah.
A rare miss for Klopp on the tactical there. That was literally his first touch of the ball.
Yeah, and it's the community shield. So for either team and for it basically just signifies, it's like the Hall of Fame game in the NFL. It speaks to the start of the season, and it speaks to the season is upon us, and it's usually the winner of the FA Cup and the winner of the league. I think if the winner of the league and the FA Cup are the same, it goes to the second in the league. But it wasn't the best game. It was entertaining. It was nice to see some fresh kits out there. I did like Liverpool's new.
Nope.
Liverpool's new kit's nice. Yeah.
Nike kits, but I will say Arsenal's away kit
is awesome.
Ode to Highbury. I really like.
You're crazy.
It's sharp looking.
I had so many people saying, "Man, that new kit looks awesome looking." You're.
It's horrible. You look like a medieval house painter.
At Highbury, kicking a ball in your face. That's right. That's how that works.
It's ugly.
Well, the stat that Ferris did leave off of his content was Arteta now has more trophies in 8 months than Ole, Pochettino, and Lampard combined in their entire Premier League managing careers.
Okay.
Where's the lie?
Slow down there,
Where's
Skippy.
the lie?
I saw Hector Bellerin's tweet this morning that was like, I guess I got to get a new trophy cabinet for all the... I'm like, okay. You won a FA Cup coming off of a pandemic that you beat Chelsea, who Pulisic got hurt halfway in the game and he was tearing you guys apart. I mean, and then you beat a Liverpool team who's probably still in a hangover from downing so much booze because they won the cup that it's a glorified friendly. Like, okay, all right, settle down here for a sec.
I'm settled down. That fact still remains.
Yes, very true. But what I was arguing with you yesterday was slow down and give me a second, because everybody was piling on Mourinho when he said he won 3 trophies that year and one of them was a Community Shield. You're like, there's no way he didn't do that. And he was getting so much slack. And it's like, well, no, now you can't just count that because Arteta can wear a suit better than Mourinho, and it counts for him.
Well, the thing is,
counting for Mourinho, then he won 3 that year,
but Mourinho did not deal with what Arteta dealt with.
What? And what has Arteta dealt with?
Okay, wait. Have you got Ron? Have you got Ron back on yet?
No, I don't. I don't have him at all.
I don't. I have Ferris's voice. I don't have his picture.
So you don't have Ron's voice at all, Ferris?
I got nothing.
All right, hold on 1 second.
I'm gonna try to get out and then get back in. Let's try that.
Yeah, because I got to talk to you about how wrong you are.
Oh Lord.
There you go. Fair.
Yeah, I got Ron back.
Okay, there we go.
All right, you got me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ferris, here's the deal, man. Still ain't no Arteta walked into a club 8 months ago.
I need another beer. I can't right now. Hold on.
In shambles. They were having a mess. And he came in the middle of the holiday festive fixtures, had all these games. He wasn't even really, controlling his team yet because he's just walking into all this. And then there's a pandemic. And then he manages to make enough out of the second half of the season that at one point they could try to run for Champions League or Europa. They don't get in, but they need to win the FA Cup to get into Europe. He does. And then, but they do in their end. They beat Man City. They beat Liverpool.
They finished 8th in the Premier League.
But he came in 8 months ago.
He had a chance to get the top 4, and they blew it. They lost to Aston Villa.
Again, what I just said, Mourinho did not have to deal with. He did not come into that club late, have a pandemic, shut everything down. Come on,
that helped Arsenal. That didn't hurt Arsenal. That actually helped them.
And then he walks away with 2 trophies, which, as good as Pochettino was, there it is. Oh, Ferris about to have a Schwartz beer too.
Nice.
And there you go. So that's and Pochettino, and that's why he's not coaching anymore. It's a funny stat to put Ole in it's also fun to put Frank Lampard in because Lampard just started. That's kind of a gag. But putting Poch in that list is funny because how did he never get anything in that time?
Now, in fairness to Poch, he built up what was a pretty dire Tottenham team.
He brought it from nothing to winning nothing.
Yes, and he sold people, and he helped to get, he had a lot of talent there. He brought in the Alderweyels, the Vertonghen's, Harry Kane. He gave him a start. The Harry Winks. He did a lot for that club to help even get them to where they are, and they were kind of that one step away. But he just could never get them over the line, and
they also wouldn't spend any money for him.
No. Well, that's true.
I mean, for the longest time.
It's always the American owners who don't want to spend anything. It's weird.
Here it is, man. Winning's the habit. Get used to it.
I don't agree with you. That's a habit. What I agree with you on is that it's confidence. It's a confidence builder for a team that needs it and hasn't had it for a long time. And Aubameyang, he's playing the way he does, and the club honors him with a contract, and he remains captain. Great, because that's what's needed. But Aubameyang has to continue to produce. As the
commentators, or as the pundits said after the game, the difference is these guys are really playing for Arteta. That is the difference and the big change of what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's
Don't disagree with you.
Yep. So then you don't disagree with my stat. There we go. Moving on. Ferris was wrong. Blake was right.
It doesn't mean that I have to like your stat. And I will take what United did in the back half of the season and a good old tabloid saga to get United going. It's like the olden days with Keane and Beckham and Posh. Like, it's just tabloids and young talent. I love it.
Yep, and no silverware for Ole. All right, so going on to the
not yet, anyway.
We do have one last little bit of news. The U.S. men's national team player Weston McKennie joins Juventus.
Wow, what a signing! Yeah, awesome. I think it's fantastic for him because he's on loan.
Right,
he's on loan. There were a lot of teams out for his signature, but more importantly, it shows that his talent and what he's been able to produce in a team that you may not really see, right? He's not a Pulisic that is electrifying and can score goals and create, but he holds down a midfield very well, and he's very cerebral in how he plays the game, and he's tough in a midfield.
To make a basketball comparison, he's a Shane Battier. Like, he makes
that's a good that is a very I'll agree with that. And Blaise Matuidi just left Juventus, who they didn't use a whole lot under Sarri. He went to Inter Miami, who we might see here in a few weeks. But for him to come in, the only thing I'm worried about is that he doesn't get time to where he did at Schalke. Right, it's such a big club, and look who came in to Juventus last year and didn't get a whole lot of time. Blake, you should definitely know this.
Why?
Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah. That's so frustrating.
Who is looking to leave the club after 1 year?
And
now a different kind of player,
sure,
because Aaron Ramsey doesn't hold down a midfield and help connect the back four to the rest of the team.
Where will he end up? Yeah, that's a good.
He could head, honestly, his best bet, head right back to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Or if United are smart, snip him off and put him in the midfield.
Yeah.
But I really like the signing for him.
Yeah, I think it's good if he gets... The reason I'm excited about this is because if he gets playing time, it is another U.S. player playing at elite level that can bring it back to the U.S. men's national team, who haven't had that many elite players around the world with that kind of experience.
Usually there's like a player, and now there's a handful. It's a very different world for the U.S. men's national team.
It's good. I mean, you have Gigio Reyna over at Dortmund, Pulisic at Chelsea. You have Tyler Adams, who scored the second game-winning goal for RB Leipzig In the Champions League. You have a lot of talent out there, and that's only going to help the U.S. here. We've also signed people like Dest, who was on the fence between playing for the Netherlands or for us and chose us, and he's playing, I think, over with the not Ajax, is it PSV? So there's a lot of young U.S. talent out there that's playing. Now, not to forget, there's a lot of other U.S. talent that has been signing with some big teams. You had Rose Lavelle sign with San Luis over at Man City, I think. You had
after she got traded, like immediately.
After she got traded, yeah, that was interesting. You have reports that Kristen Press could be signing with Manchester United, which I would be over the moon with, and I would get a kit with her name on it, because if you listen to the pod and know I am a huge fan of her and what she can bring to a team. You have a lot of reports that people are going over there and playing, and not necessarily in Italy, but in the Europe style format that we know. There's a lot of U.S. players going over there and applying their talents and their trade to what has predominantly been a European based, trend sets, or even the South American. A lot of Brazilians go over there to build on their trade, and the U.S. are kind of slowly knowing that might be the route they have to go to then bring success back to the States.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting few years as that continues to develop as kind of a trend throughout U.S. soccer.
Good luck to McKinney at the old lady.
Yeah, man. It's just awesome to see slowly but surely the American game getting better. So you see more of these folks. This starts to become normal. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Here's hoping.
Boom. Does that wrap us up, gents? Is that all our news for the day?
I think so.
I think it does.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. Well, then as this wraps us up, as always, follow us on Twitter at Brewtiful Game, Facebook, go to the website, thebrutifulgame.com. You'll find everything there. Also follow us on Untapped, where we do a ton of the beers that we are trying and sharing from all over the world. If you want to get a good beer list and find out what's happening in the Beijing brew scene from Ron.
Oh, yeah.
Instagram, if you leave us a rating and review and do a screen grab, we'll be happy to send you a magnet and a koozie. We still got a few of those guys left. Boom, and I think that's it. Anything else, gentlemen?
That's it.
Boom.
I think that's it.
Ron, in honor of you, before I do the joke, before we get to dad joke time, I saw someone post something from an open Flat Earthers Facebook group. So I thought I would get some good. I would just see what they were saying to make you laugh, but I ended up getting kicked out because I asked if the 6-foot social distancing guideline had pushed anyone over the edge yet.
That's good. I appreciate that one. I can appreciate that.
And I cannot take credit for
You're
that.
a son of a you know that.
I can't take credit for that one. Hold on, let me give proper credit, because I want to make sure I saw this and laughed my butt off.
Earth.com.
It was this was from, let me pull the tweet back up. This was from Kevin Shanks, the forensic tox guy, who put this tweet up. He's a forensic toxologist that runs the Toxcast podcast. How cool is that? But yeah, nice. I saw that tweet and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna steal that one for the show." That's a good.
That's my second favorite Flat Earther tweet.
Yeah,
the first one is, "We have members all around the globe."
Yes.
The Flat Earth Society.
Yes.
We have members around the globe. You morons.
I don't think I've heard that one. That's a good one. Wow.
Man.
It was on their Facebook page for the longest time.
That's great. Oh.
I love that I grew up in an age of space exploration, and I wonder what the future will bring us still trying to convince people the Earth is round. So that's where we are.
Just nuke humanity from space. It's the only way to be sure.
Just start over. Well, again, the beer we were having today, if you get a chance to try it, is the Black is Beautiful beer. Ours is from Ivanhoe Brewing Company, but you are very liable to find it at a local brewery near you. Man, such a good beer.
Yeah, go to the website, which is blackisbeautiful.beer, and you can look up the breweries in your area that are carrying that beer, and then rush right out and get you some.
Boom. All right, gents. It was a pleasure. Love
Absolutely.
the beer. Cherish the game, the Brewtiful Game. Cheers.
Cheers.